أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين شفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه المنتجبين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى قيام يوم الدين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أما بعد، السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We stated the process of communication, which then eventually becomes a recital in the form of the Qur'an. The first part was the mechanism of how the revelation takes place and how the inspiration comes and how then it is formed into words. The second part of it was the Blessed Prophet, that the Blessed Prophet is a context for the revelation and for the molding of the meanings. So the Blessed Prophet is no less integral to the Qur'an than are the words of the Qur'an. If the words of the Qur'an are the message, then the Blessed Prophet is not the messenger, he is the message himself in that way. So he is a messenger and he is the message. And how is the Blessed Prophet the message? Because it was, after all, the personal circumstances, the communal societal circumstances of the Blessed Prophet that was being made a focal point by the Furqaniya aspect of the Qur'an to deliver its message. So it's looking at the Prophet, modifying the attitude, conduct, behavior of the Prophet, using that to then convey the broader teachings that the revelation wanted to convey. You turned and you frowned, but how do you know? The one that you're paying attention to is the one who is pure at heart. Yet the one who comes to you seeking God, knowledge, and who is pure, shall you turn away from him? It is but a reminder for those who will remember. So here, a moral message is being given. That look, O Prophet Muhammad, my task here, your task here is not to get numbers. Your task here is to appeal to willing hearts. That's your task. This is the message that I am imparting, the Quran says. Then in that surah, we get mention of the hereafter. We get mention of what will happen, so on and so forth. So the Furqaniya is using the Prophet Muhammad immediately as the source of communication, talking to Muhammad Rasulullah, making it very relevant for him and developing him and his being through nurturing him with his lofty teachings. And then that becomes a message for all of us. Now yesterday I made a mistake in quoting a verse. لَوْلَا أَن ثَبَّتْنَاكَ, not رَبَطْنَاكَ, ثَبَّتْنَاكَ. Yes, had we not firmed you, you were almost inclined to lean to them somewhat. And had you done that, we would have given you twice the pleasures of life and twice the chastisement of death. From that Prophet who was told this in Surah Isra, or Surah Isra I think, to that Prophet in Surah Nisa, towards the end of his prophetic mission, not right at the end, but towards the end, well, middle phase I believe, مَن يُطِعِ الرَّسُولِ فَقَدْ أَطَاعَ اللَّهِ. Whoever is obedient to the messenger is obedient to Allah. That's a huge, huge shift from telling somebody that, listen, you are about to be inclined to them and we put you right and we would have punished you, to saying this, that whoever follows him, whatever he says is following Allah. Isn't that a huge, huge shift, a huge evolutionary leap in the life of the Blessed Prophet? Now I know we are accustomed to thinking that the Prophet did not evolve, but the Prophet was a human. قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ. I am but a human like you. Yuha ilay. It has been revealed onto. Is the sound okay? Yeah? It's seldom do I get tired of my own voice, sound of my voice. So, it doesn't have to be this serious. You can smile. Salawat. Whenever the Maulana, makes a light-hearted comment and asks you to read Salawat, do you know what he's doing actually? Maulana is saying, what comes next? So he wants to look down at the notes. Do you get it? Be kind. So we are seeing that the Blessed Prophet's journey from that point of weakness to that point of utmost strength is the message. Furqan comes and conveys its lofty teachings through the agency of Prophet Muhammad. Now I often think, can Furqan here work in any other instance with anybody else? Of course it can. Can it work so effectively? It can't. You have to be Prophet Muhammad in order for this Qur'an to be produced through him. It can't be produced through anybody else. The sort of ways in which he is thinking, the way he is transforming, the challenges that he is facing. So the Furqan talks about Zayd, the adopted son of the Blessed Prophet. He talks about Zayd, very personal to the Prophet, and then conveys the law. And when we said, and you said to Zayd, do not divorce your wife, and he still did it, we allowed you to marry her. And you hid in your soul what Allah knew. And Allah will reveal what is in your soul, O Muhammad. Imagine, God is making him into a transparent book. Bibi Aisha goes missing. The Prophet is perplexed. He doesn't know what to do. There is talk in the town. Tongues are wagging. He said to Aisha, go to your father's house, Khalifa Abu Bakr. And then the Prophet came to a point where he could not understand things anymore. So he went to Khalifa Abu Bakr's house and he slept there and he received the verses of Surah Nur that look, she is chaste, she was exonerated. But then together with that, the Furqaniyah brings about the law. Why do they not bring about 4 witnesses? With Allah, all of them are liars. So the Furqaniyah is using the Blessed Prophet Muhammad's circumstances, his psychology, his mind, his thinking, his situation, and giving out its broader teachings, be they connected with Islamic law, or eschatology, the events of the hereafter, or befitting morality, or societal laws, or spiritual virtues. They are all coming in the same way. However, there is something far more intimate going on here that we seldom pay attention to. You see, we mentioned in the second lecture that there is no such thing as a written book that is being delivered to Prophet Muhammad. The book is being spoken as Prophet Muhammad advances in his experiences. The book and Prophet Muhammad are in sync. The Qur'an is a production of the life and the experiences of Prophet Muhammad. It's amazing. I used to read these verses again and again and got baffled for years and years and years. But the Qur'an is the best of teachers. And I realized that. The dua that you read at the end of the Qur'an when you finish the Qur'an, it truly tells you that Qur'an is a living being. It is alive. And it actually takes its students on a journey, bit by bit, but it's a very dangerous journey. It's a journey that keeps you awake at nights for 10, 15, 20 years. It's a difficult one. But then you begin to find clarity that actually something phenomenal is going on here. So there is no pretext, a script that is being given to the Prophet Muhammad. The script is being scripted with the Blessed Prophet Muhammad. Pay attention to this particular verse. Surah Nahl 16, 101. Look at this remarkable verse and the one after. وَإِذَا بَدَّلْنَا آيَةٍ مَكَانَ آيَةٍ. And when we change a verse in place of another verse, can you see this? And when we change a verse in place of another verse, if you say it was a pre-scripted book, then how can you change the verse at present? The book is being scripted right now. As the Prophet Muhammad is experiencing, the verses are being given. And at one point, you see, this then challenges the whole of our notion of it was a book already made and it can never change. No, it was changing in the moment. A verse is given and then it's changed. So now when this phenomena happened, when we change a verse in place of another verse, Wallahu a'lamu bima yunazzil, and Allah knows what He is doing tanzeel of. Do you remember we made this distinction between tanzeel and inzal? We said tanzeel comes from the mother book, the source book. So it's been done in the moment. And Allah knows what He is gradually, continuously revealing. So it's happening in the moment. Even those agencies that were constructing the Qur'an were overruled. I'm going to slowly clarify this in today and tomorrow and day after's lecture. That the agencies who were constructing the Qur'an through God, even they were overruled. So the speaker in the Qur'an is saying, and when we change, a verse in place of another, and Allah knows what He is causing to descend from the source. قَالُوا إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ مُفْتِرٌ. They point fingers at you and they say, you're a fabricator. You know, you have to be a fabricator. And who could blame those people for telling the Prophet Muhammad that you're a fabricator? They're saying, look, in their minds, it's a book that has already been scripted and it's been given to him. And if it's a scripted book, then how can the verse change? It's a valid argument in their minds, right? Are you getting that? The people who are cautiously and curiously listening to the revelation, they have already assumed that yes, the Prophet is saying there is a God, this Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying there is a God, he is revealing, so there must be a book. But there you go, he's just taken off that verse and replaced it with another verse. He is a liar. How can an all-knowing God change a verse? It's already written down. Are you seeing this? بَلْ أَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Rather, majority of them don't know the fact of the matter of what is happening. They really don't understand it. قُلْ نَزَّلَهُ رُوحُ الْقُدُسِ. Say, the Holy Spirit has brought it down sequentially. And you will see, Ruhul Qudus is a distinct reality from Ruhul Amin. Hazrat Jibreel might be Ruhul Amin, but Ruhul Qudus seems to be a much different reality that comes from the source. I don't want to put on too much concepts. I'm still afraid of the feedback I got from the second lecture. So then they begin to understand that this thing is happening in the moment. Now look at another verse. Surah Baqarah, Surah 2, verse 106. These are baffling verses. ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسيها نأتي بخير منها أو مثلها. We do not abrogate a verse and we do not cause a verse to be forgotten en masse to be forgotten, but that we bring a better verse than it or it's like. What a phenomenal verse. We do not cause a verse to be abrogated. Now the abrogation is a phenomena that if the Muslims understood, they wouldn't have any problem with Islamic law. A verse that is abrogated is still within the Qur'an, retained. Now I'll give one example that everybody agrees upon, although I think there are many, but one example that everybody agrees upon. The verse in which when the Prophet, people were harassing the Prophet by asking him a lot of questions and the Prophet was feeling fatigued. So the verse came, now do not go to the Prophet except after giving sadaqah. Yes? So obviously the Quran thought, right now, we'll get sadaqah of them. People stopped going. Only Imam Ali went, gave sadaqah and went. So the Quran was forced to abrogate the verse. Okay, fine. Now I've done maafi on you. You can go to him without sadaqah. The Sahabi are also Khojas, they're saying, if you have to go to the Maulana and give sadaqah every time, it's fine, man, we'll learn it on YouTube or something. So the verse was abrogated, but the verse is still inside the Qur'an. Can you see that? Now, I don't want to go into the philosophy of abrogated verses, but the fact that they are in there shows that if we can understand abrogation, we will have no problem with Islamic law and its reformation. That law loses its efficacy, it has to be changed. Yes? But that's not the problem. The problem is, أَوْ نُنْسِيهَا, or we cause it to be forgotten. Doesn't that tell a story? That we've given a verse, but that verse is not the optimal one, so we'll cause it to be forgotten. How can that happen? Why give it in the first place? Can you see that? So Khalifa Umar said that there was a verse of stoning people to death. I remember there was a verse. All of the Sahaba said, nah, you're making it up. So then some are saying that it was of those forgotten verses. Of course, Shias didn't want to be left behind, so they also said, no, there was a verse like that. But the Shia one is reported from the time of Imam Sadiq, right? But the thing is that the verses are being revealed. They are being changed. They are being made to become forgotten. What does that say to you? That says that there is no script written. It is happening in the very moment. Now we read a few verses of Surah Qiyamah. In the early days, the Blessed Prophet found it difficult, as Allama Maududi quotes. He found it a little bit difficult to retain the verses and then to give it out. So then he was speedily giving it out. Once he became acquainted with the phenomena of revelation, when the words were articulated within his soul, when the meanings were given form and they were coming to his tongue, he would quickly give them out, lest he forgot. Now, of course, the revealer, seeing his state, and he was ill at ease with this phenomena of quickly giving it out. Now go and study Surah Qiyamah. لا أقسم بيوم القيامة ولا أقسم بنفس اللوامة أيحسب الإنسان أن لن نقدر أن لن what is it? Something about إضامة أن لن نسوي ولكن you know what, this is shaitan in my head right now, making me forget. So Moses asked his disciple what happened to the fish. He said, oh, it swam away. وَمَا أَنْسَانِهِ إِلَّا الشَّيْطَانَ نَذْكُرَهُ. Only shaitan made me forget. So anyway, shaitan is making me forget. So look at that verse. Those verses. لَا أُقْسِمُ بِيَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ وَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِنَفْسِ اللَّوَّامَةِ. I swear by the day of Qiyamah, by the soul that taunts. أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانَ أَنْ لَنْ نَجْمَعَ عِظَامًا. Does the human being feel that we will not reconstruct his bones? بَلَا قَادِرِينَ عَلَىٰ أَن نُسَوِّيَ بَنَانًا. We are able to recreate his fingertip. The Arabs didn't understand the meaning of creating a fingertip. It's a unique signature. Those verses are coming, and immediately there's a pause, there's a break in Surah Qiyamah. And a personal conversation starts with the Prophet Muhammad. That personal conversation is retained in the Surah Qiyamah. لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به. O Muhammad, don't move your tongue to hasten to deliver it. إن علينا جمعه وقرآن. It is our task to gather the Quran and to give it its recital form. فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنًا. And when we have recited it, then follow the recital. ثُمَّ إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا بَيَانًا. And then it is our task to explain it. How phenomenal is this? O Prophet, even if you forget, worry not. We will gather it once it comes through. We will gather it, we will make it into a recital, and we will explicate it. Now I want to pick on this afterwards. This explanation, is it explanation that is revealed from the source, or explanation that is given by whoever is doing the inspiration, and then that becomes a part of the recital? It's a very intricate point. So now this Furqaniya, and I'm just going to finish this now. The Furqaniya, the sort of teachings that it is giving are either essential or non-essential teachings. The essential teachings of the the non-essential teachings of the Furqan are the teachings that are talking about the Prophet Muhammad and his own circumstances. Zayd, Abu Lahab, what happened at Badr, these are non-essential. They are related to the Prophet Muhammad. Within them are essential morals. But the essential teachings of the Furqan are teachings on the nature of God, human purpose, what will happen in the hereafter, spiritual virtues. These are the essential teachings. Be devoted to God constantly. Remember God frequently. These are the essential teachings. Other teachings are bodily spiritual teachings, such as what? The identity markers, such as devotional acts, fasting, prayers, Hajj. They are bodily and spiritual, in order to direct the spirit to the attainment of its utmost goal, and that is to find God. Other laws are bodily consumable laws, again with the spirit in mind, in the evolution of mind, evolution of the soul in mind. So you find those sort of teachings in there. Others are bodily spiritual in terms of decency, laws on marriage and decency, laws of decency. And then the majority of the laws that the Furqan is giving that are non-essential are societal laws. Rights of spouses, rights of men and women, punishment, so on and so forth. These are societal laws based on the principle of justice. And these are constantly in flux. The Furqan just gives those laws at that point in accordance with justice at that point. But they are totally in flux, like we saw, as gestured by the verse of abrogation. As soon as it loses its efficacy, it's abrogated. But after the demise of the Blessed Prophet Muhammad, the wahi comes to a close. So there is no one to abrogate it. The human intellect will now need to abrogate these verses. Keep them in the Quran, but see the essence of justice and move forward. So these are the laws of the Qur'an. We finished with this yesterday's talk. I'm going to take things very slowly. In terms of today's talk, we come to this question: who is speaking in the Qur'an? Now, this was something that I just could not understand. And after I deliver these few lectures, you will come back to me and you will say, you still don't understand. That's fine. You don't see it, do you? In any case, it's baffling. It's baffling, the Quran. I don't understand why all of us cannot see this and are deprived of peaceful sleep at night. Have you never wondered why would God sit on a throne? Why would God sit on a throne? ثُمَّ اسْتَوَى عَلَى الْعَرْشِ. Why would He sit on a throne? Why would God have a conversation with Shaitan and, an emotional rage? I'll fill you and them all in hell. Doesn't it bug you? How can this happen? Doesn't it bother anybody? I, we, He, the Lord of the worlds. Doesn't it baffle any mind? How dare you worship anybody other than me? Surely God should be beyond all such considerations. Can God have an enemy? Have you seen the stern tone of the Quran and the enemies of God? Doesn't it bring a question to mind? How can God have an enemy? I am the one who has enemies. And even I want to arrive at a level of existence where I'm able to forgive my enemies and I don't care who my enemies are and I can still love them. A mother, no matter how wrong her children may be, she will still love them. We asked this question 2 years ago. The Quran says that whenever their skins burn, we will replace them with fresh skins so that they can taste the chastisement fully. And they will burn in khalidina fiha abada. They will be in there for all eternity. His skin is burned. I say he, I never say she. His skin is burnt. It's replaced with another skin. Another skin is given, it's replaced, another skin is given, replaced, and that goes on till all eternity. Doesn't it prod at the mind? How can God have enemy that He will burn forever and ever and ever and ever and ever? Don't these verses bring about struggle within the soul and the mind? Well, they did in mine. They brought about a huge struggle. And I said, God, I see your Hussein. And I know these stories may not be accurate depiction of what happened, but it seems that the sentiment is accurate. I see your Hussein trembling upon the dust, dying of thirst, no strength left within his limbs. His brothers have been killed, his sons have been taken away. His daughters are thirsty and his sisters are about to be taken into captivity. At that point, a man arrives at his side and he says, Hussein, do you have forgiveness for me at this point? And Hussein says, I forgive you. Oh my Lord, if this is your Hussein who has become like this after knowing you and worshipping you, then how can you be like the way you are being described right now in the Qur'an? There is full inconsistency here. You cannot be that God. And why are you saying these things? And then of course, you embark on the process of justifying it. That's our first, obviously, response. We want to justify it, make meaning out of it. So for years and years and years, we try and chop and change meanings to try and justify it and metaphorize and so on and so forth, until it becomes abundantly clear that you can't do it. It's a failed task. Maybe you need to look at it afresh. You see, when we say that the earth is flat, and then some things just don't make sense, then at some point you have to give up and say, maybe the earth is not flat. Can you see that? Maybe Allah is not talking in the Quran. Now, what difference does it make, you might ask? A huge difference, a huge, phenomenal difference. You see, a teacher might tell you, you will fail, you will not get a good job, you are destined to poverty. And that can deprive a person of all their confidence. Can you see that? But the teacher has to say that in order to spur the student on to try their best. Or somebody says, the boss will fire you. There is no respite for you. If you make this little mistake, you're gone. But the boss is the kindest person ever. But the manager has to say that in order to get the work done. In order for that person also to succeed. Can you see this? So when something is spoken on behalf of God, it might appear much different than when God Himself speaks. You see, look at the community today. Do we really have confidence in our God? I, for one, have struggled with this. The God that is found in here, honestly, you want to say to that God, oh Allah, my biggest problem is that I know I deserve punishment, but at the same time I know how kind you are. And I know you may forgive me, and that makes me feel embarrassed. Can you see that? Because I know who you are. I know the God that you are. You are the kindest of the kind. People buried their daughters, you forgave them straight away. Didn't he? Somebody shoots a spear in the chest of the lion of your prophet, Hamza, and the prophet forgives him. That's the God you are. Do we have confidence in God? We don't. We are frightened out of our wits. We don't want to go to the grave. Why? God is waiting to get me. Do you really think God is this? But can you see the problems that it creates in our minds? And it keeps Maulanas in business, by the way. I'll have to find another vocation. You see, we lose confidence in our God. There is no doubt that there is consequences to what we do. That is this realm of life. There are consequences. But what we don't understand is that beyond the judge is a judge who is all forgiving. Can you see that? He can overrule anything and everything. What we don't understand is that within the fire is the tenderness of the love of the real one. Imam Ali said, Lord, you know I can't bear this. Rabbi, my Lord, you know I can't bear it. It's something that the whole entirety of the heavens and the earth can't bear. How will I bear it? Even a moment of it is unbearable. Can you not see how frail I am? How weak I am? My bones, my skin, how will I bear that? Then he says, oh Lord, it's fine. If it becomes incumbent on me to go into hell and be separated from your friends, then you be with me, accompany me, so that I can bear it. Because I deserve it, I know I deserve it. Let me be dignified and take my punishment, but you be with me. He was seeing a God beyond the one who will judge upon him. Can you see that? It makes a huge difference. What God is and what is transmitted on behalf of God. لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا. Do not despair of the mercy of God. He forgives all sins. In fact, Imam Sadiq Salamullah alayhi was asked, what is the greatest sin on the day of Arafah? He said, the greatest sin is to imagine that your God has not forgiven you. It's the greatest sin. And I will say the greatest sin, the mother of all sin, is to lose hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is here. You can't lose hope. Death can't deprive the soul of God. The soul is mixed with Allah's light. It is not even the soul. It is nothing but the light of the divine. So it makes a huge difference as to who is speaking in the Qur'an. The Qur'an is constructed by God, by all means. And we believe that, and it is proven, and through inductive sort of processes of examining the Qur'an. But who is conveying those messages? Now here, who is God in the Qur'an? When you look at God in the Qur'an, He's a phenomenal reality. He doesn't have direction, and every direction leads to Him. He doesn't have color, and all colors are His. He is without gender, and both genders equally reflect Him. He doesn't have a status, and every status is His. Look at God in the Qur'an. He doesn't have a religion, and every religion is a means to Him. He doesn't have a language, and every language speaks of Him. He is the nameless one, and every name points at Him. He says in the Qur'an, أَيْنَمَا تَوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. Wherever you turn, you will find the face of God. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ. For Allah is the east and the west. Wherever you turn, it is nothing but Him. Look at the descriptions of Allah in the Qur'an. هُوَ الْأَوَّلُ وَالْآخِرُ وَالظَّاهِرُ وَالْبَاطِنُ وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. Hadith 57:3. He is the first, He is the last, He is the apparent, He is the hidden. He is all of these things. What I need to ask myself, who am I? Am I even here? That's the real question. Not where He is. Am I here? Look at His description. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. He doesn't even have a name. They asked Him, who is the God you talk about? The reply came, قُلْ, say. He said, say. Huwa, He. He, for our understanding, is Allah, the One. Otherwise, He is without name. There is no name that can capture that beauty. Allah Samad, Allah the fully fortified. Nothing can reach Him because He is so brilliantly complete. So brilliantly complete. As Ali says, you cannot attribute Him Because attribute, when you attribute something, you say, well, there's duality, there's an attribute, and there is Allah. No, He is singularity. He just simply is the most beautiful one. But then we get a description of Allah at a later date as the source of all things. At the first level of description of Allah, there is no duality. There is no I and He. It is but He. There is nothing. There is no world and the Creator. It is but He. Jalla Jalaluhu. But at a later date, you get Allah as the source and creation in the Qur'an. Allah, Nurus Samawati wal Ard. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Masalu Nurihi kamishkat. The example or the simile of His light is like a lamp in which there is a flame, and it appears like a shining crystal that is shining, kawkabun durriyun, and it shines the heavens and the earth. So here we get the description of Allah as the source and the world. And even in the source and the world, we are told that the world is nothing but the expression of the source. Then Allah is spoken of in the Quran, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. So Fir'aun asks Moses, and who is the Lord of the worlds? He said, He is the one who has created the heavens and the earth and everything within it. In another place, Moses replies to the Pharaoh, Rabbi alladhi ata kulla shayin khalqahu thumma hada. My Lord is the one who gave everything its creation and then directed all things. Everything is to do with Allah. And in the description of Allah, it is said, Allahu ghani wa antum fuqara. There's a sharp distinction. Allah is needless, you are in a state of dire need. And this then marks God as the source, needlessness, and everything else in a state of need. Now we come to who is at the level of governance. Who is governing? No doubt it is Allah governing. No doubt it is Allah governing. But I need to explain this. You see, and this analogy will be wrong. Will be wrong. If you have a system that is governing things, you have a source, don't you? And then you have layers of governance. It is right to say that the source is governing everything, and it is right to say that at this level, the governance is with this management team. Isn't it? It's right to say both, isn't it? It is right to say that the source is governing everything, and it is right to say that this level of management is governing everything. But ultimately, the management is governed by another level. And it's not a strange phenomenon. Before going on to this lofty notion that we want to embark on, I just need to clarify. Don't we see in the Quran that the angels take life away? Don't we see that? The Quran says that the angels take life away. And at the same time, Allah says, I take life away. Do you see that in the Quran? In the Quran, Mudabbiratul Amra, the organizers of all affairs, are known as the angels. Fazajirat Zajra. You are seeing angels doing all sorts of functions in the Quran. And these functions are ultimately the functions of God. So they are functions of God and functions of other than God, through God. Can you see that? But the amazing thing is that human functions are also the functions of Allah. Ma ramaita id ramaita walakin Allah ar-rama. So the Prophet Muhammad took some pebbles on the day of Badr. He blew on them and he threw it. The verse came, Ma ramait id ramait walakin Allah ar-rama. You did not throw, Muhammad. When you threw, it was Allah who threw. Can you see this? Attribution of the act of Prophet Muhammad to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You did not kill them. Qatalahumullah. Allah killed them. Your action was the action of God. So we can see here at the level of governance, there is a difference, and it makes a huge difference in our understanding of God. The understanding of God should not be tarnished. It's here. You have to turn to your God and say to your God, oh Allah, I'm yours. I don't care how much I get punished or whatnot. But I will not allow anything to tarnish what I have of you. Yes, I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed, and I'm whatever I am. But I am yours. And what causes greater embarrassment is that you have already accepted me as I am. They say, that is Allah. That should not be tarnished. And if we can become man, then we should say to Allah, in your love, I'm ready to face the punishment, but just give me the strength to face it. Give me the strength and the dignity to face it. That's how we should be with Allah. Not these frightened creatures who are just afraid of death and afraid of hereafter and afraid of Allah. No, this is not good. This is not right. Why should we live in such a hellish life? Beyond the traumas of the world are the inner traumas that we have. The fears, the expectations of people. What will they think? Who cares what anybody thinks? 1,000 swords standing in front of you. Rejoice, smile. Be Hussein and tell them, come devour me, and I forgive you all. Say that as well. People curse you, say, Allah, thank you, because I needed this to evoke something inside me that was hidden. I needed to sort that out. Allah, relationship with Allah should remain untarnished, unadulterated. What we read of the Qur'an is at the level of governance of our being. Now, you find these two verses in the Qur'an, pairs of verses, you can contrast them. Allah will never forgive them, O Muhammad. Even if you stand there and seek forgiveness 70 times, Allah will never forgive them. There you go. Then you get the verse. Isn't that amazing? For example, this verse is repeated many times, Surah Baqarah 284, Surah 284. For Allah is whatever is within the heavens and whatever is within the earth. If you were to disclose what is in your souls or conceal it, God will bring you to account for it. Then, what does it say? فَيَغْفِرُ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ وَيُعَذِّبُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Then He will forgive whoever He wants and He will punish whoever He wants. When it comes to Allah's decisive judgment, the Qur'an says it's with Him. I can't make a judgment. He can do whatever He wants. He will ask, He will not be asked. He is that level, that authority as a source, as the source, yes? Not as Allah, the beauty untarnished that cannot be named. Allah is the source. Look at this verse, how many times it's been repeated. He will forgive whoever He wants and He will punish whoever He wants. Yudrikul absar wala tudrikuhul absar. He sees all sights, sights do not see Him. We retain that verse for day after tomorrow. So the Quran makes these constant comparisons. Now we get confused because we say the Quran is saying this in one place, it's saying that in another place. Now what is happening? What we are not seeing is it's talking about two different distinct things. It's not talking about the same point of reference. If you were to be talking about the same point of reference, then yes, there's a problem. But the Quran is talking about two different references when it talks about the working of God. He will punish them forever and ever. He will burn His enemies forever and ever. And in another place, He can forgive whoever He wants. And He will not be questioned for His decision. Well, how do you reconcile between the two? The only way you will reconcile is when you say that these are 2 points of references. Now, we come to this verse and then we begin tomorrow. Surah Ash-Shura, Surah 42, verse 51. We want to analyze this verse. Very carefully. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَمَا كَانَ لِبَشَرٍ أَن يُكَلِّمُهُ اللَّهُ. It is, Allah will not talk to a bashar, who we will translate today as a human. Allah will not talk to a human, إِلَّا وَحْيًا, save through inspiration. أو من وراء حجاب, or from behind a veil. أو يرسل رسولا, or he will send a messenger. فيوحي بإذنه, who will inspire through the consent of God ما يشاء, whatever he wants. So we've seen these three things. God will not talk save from behind a veil, or through inspiration, or send a messenger who will inspire whatever he wants. Now the Mufassirin are saying whatever he wants means whatever Allah wants. So the messenger is just conveying. The messenger's role is the role of a letter that is opened and read. The messenger will not speak its own words. And I beg to differ on that. Because the messenger, through the consent of God, if that was the case, then why say through his consent whatever he wants? Simply say, or he sends a messenger, فَيُوحِي مَا يَشَاءُ, who inspires what Allah wants. Why put that clause بِإِذْنِهِ, by his permission? Can you see that? The messenger, by his permission, inspires whatever the messenger wants. And then that is constructed. And you find that resonating with Surah Qiyamah. ثُمَّ إِنَّا عَلَيْنَا بَيَانًا. And it is our task to explain this. Now, briefly, look at this. When the Quran talks about Allah doing wahi, it doesn't tell us what the wahi is. So you find Surah Najm. Dana fatadalla. He came. فَكَانَ كَابْ قَوْسَيْنَ أَوْ أَدْنَى. And he was closer than the two bows joined. فَأَوْحَى إِلَىٰ عَبْدِهِ مَا أَوْحَى. And he revealed to his creature, servant, whatever he revealed. What did he reveal? Oh, I don't know. Can you see that? That revelation is kept to Allah and between Allah and Prophet Muhammad. That level of revelation. We don't know what that was. As far as talking from behind the veil, you find this. And you find this frequently. Surah Al-Qasas, Surah 28, verse 30. Now you will find that the Quran, the speaker in the Quran is narrating this event. Every time this event comes, the speaker narrates it. فَلَمَّا أَتَاهَا. And when Moses came to the mountain, نُودِيَ مِنْ شَاطِ الْوَادِ الْأَيْمَنِ. He was called from the right side of the valley, fil buq'atil mubaraka, from a blessed place, min shajara, from the tree, and ya Musa, O Moses, inni ana Allah Rabbul Alameen. I am Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Here Allah is talking from behind a veil. And that is the second one. But you can see the Quran saying, Quran is not saying, I said. The Quran is saying when Moses went, this is what happened, and the Quran is narrating God speaking. Rabbul Alameen, I am the Lord of all the world. So this is the source speaking. God as the source. As far as the rest of the Quran is concerned, and I'm going to continue this tomorrow. As far as the rest of the Quran is concerned, you find the accent changing between I, we, Lord. It's a phenomenal story that is in there, and we want to explore it slowly and gradually from tomorrow. As I said, Allah is Allah. Allah. There is a man, a gallant warrior, Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. Hussein said, you called me, and if you no longer want me, then let me be. Hur said, I did not call you. Hussein said, bring the letters of the people of Kufa. The letters were brought in 2 sacks. Hur said, I am not amongst those who have written to you. Hussein ascends his steed. Let me be. Hur places his hand in the reins of Hussein's horse. May your mother weep upon your death. Hussein, I cannot respond in a like manner. Your mother is the daughter of the Blessed Prophet. Hussein, deceased from your intention, I have no doubt these people will kill you. Do you frighten me with death, O Hur? There is no blemish upon a youth if he sets out upon the path of the truth. If he is killed, then he is killed righteously, and if he lives, then without any blame. This indignity is sufficient for you that you call yourself a free man, and your nose is rubbed within the dust. Hur understood that Hussein has resolved. It is the night of Ashura. Hur arrives in the tent of Umar ibn Sa'd. Will we indeed fight them tomorrow? Within no time you shall see their heads being decapitated and their arms being torn from their bodies. He heard this. Slowly he started making way towards Hussein's camp. Muhajir called Hussein. He called Hur. Why do I see your color changed? Why do you tremble so? By God, if I were to be asked who is the bravest amongst the people of Kufa, I would utter none but your name. I see myself between paradise and hell, and I will not prefer paradise. I will not prefer anything above paradise. He rides towards Hussein. He is joined by his sons and his brother. He comes to Hussein. Do you have forgiveness in your heart for me? I am the one who prevented you from returning. I am the one due to whom today you are trapped in this wilderness. Do you find it in you to forgive me? Allah has forgiven you, Hur. Step down and come to me. Allow me to talk to the daughters of the Prophet. O daughters of the Prophet, I am the one who audaciously prevented the path of Hussein. I am the one due to whom you have become captive here today. Forgive me and do not complain against me to your grandfather. The cries of the women arose, Hur slapped his face. If only my hands had been cut. If only my tongue had become paralyzed. They came to Hur and they said, take the glad tidings of forgiveness, O Hur. Hur has a son, Bukair, O Ali. Hussein, allow him to fight for you. Let it be. He goes and fights. He turns to Hur. He said, Father, do you have water? He said, O child, ask not for water whilst the grandson of the Prophet thirsts. As he fell from his steed, Hur went towards his son, but not broken, not lamenting or with tears, with pride holding his head. Did you see how my son fought? Did you see how he fell? He went to his son and he said, may Allah reward you on behalf of your father. Hur enters the battlefield. I am Hur, from the household of the most generous. And these are the family of the Prophet. How dare you restrict their path and cause them to thirst? I will strike you with my blows and defend them. He fights gallantly. He is struck numerous times. Comes upon the earth. Hussein rushes to Hur with Habib. Ni'mal Hur, Hur Yazid al-Riyahi. The best of free man are you, O Hur Yazid al-Riyahi. He lifts Hur's head. Hur breaks into a smile. Habib says, O Hur, Has his grandfather come to receive you? Hur said, no, I do not see his grandfather. Then why this smile, O Hur? Because I find my head in his lap as I breathe my last.